Hello and welcome into School Talk on 98.5 WJHI LP Jeffersonville, home of the Red Devil Network. Here with you today from the WJHI studios on September 21st. And today we welcome in another wing of the school. Last week we had our musical department come in, Miss Martinez and Mr. Miller, to speak about the Jeffersonville Band. Now we go to the ROTC side of school. We get a little bit of a different perspective on what they're working on and how they're moving forward through this school year. And with us is now Colonel Bob Benning, the head of the JROTC at Jeffersonville High School. How are you doing, sir?
Happy to be here and be in-person teaching this week.
I was going to say, it's been a little bit of a different year for everybody, and we'll start off with that with you. Being a ROTC leader, everything you do is predicated on being in person and instruction, trying to lead kids one-to-one at times, and even from a group setting. How has this been for you, trying to lead from online school, now being back in school at the moment? I know we're going to have e-learning days coming up online. How have you adjusted to that?
Yeah, it's been very tough for our program. As you mentioned, so much of what we do with the students is in person. We hold our classes just about like any other class, academic-wise, but to be effective, part of the program is learning drill, learning how to wear that uniform, and that's tough to do online. We also do a lot of team building, put cadets in different types of leadership positions. So it's trying to replicate that online. Definitely has been a challenge. A lot of videos that we're uploading, videos of cadets that are here on how to wear the uniform so we can show those individuals that are at home, how to do facing movements, kind of just the basic aspects of the JROTC program, what we call our customs and courtesies, and trying to upload that and to convey that. One of the fortunate things that we've been allowed to do is our after-school programs. Cadets that are doing it online can still come to our after-school program. So we do have a few cadets, sophomores and a few freshmen that still come to us after school, even though they're doing my school online. Come to drill practice, come to color guard practice, or part of our PT team. So it's definitely been an adjustment. It's been a challenge, but the cadets are stepping up to it.
And that's where I want to start with you, is when you talk about ROTC, I think there's certainly a stereotype and there's also just an overall perception of, hey, if I go into ROTC, I'm going to go into the military. And I think for me, going back to high school and even in college, some of the most successful people I met through my high school and college experience that were colleagues and students with me were ROTC students, but they never went on to go in the military or do any active service. Tell us about how you prepare students, not just for the military, but regular day life, the mental habits, the physical habits that you prepare kids for, that, hey, just because you don't want to do military doesn't mean you can get a great experience out of this that can help you down the road.
Sure, absolutely. And the JROTC program at the high school level is what we call a citizenship program. So there's absolutely no military obligation at all by coming and joining us at the high school level. It's different at the college level. At the college level, if you're in an ROTC program, you're on your way to get a commission, and by that sophomore year, you're contracted to go into the military. But at junior ROTC at the high school level, there isn't that commitment. Now, there's advantages. If you do at least 3 years of our program and you decide to enlist after high school, you will, and go to basic training, you'll get a bump up in pay, you'll get a bump up in rank, and more responsibilities much more quickly. And that's just by doing 3 years of our program. Basic training and starting off in the military is going to be a little bit easier because some of the things that as I mentioned before, you're going to already know how to wear the uniform, you're already going to know how to drill. Part of it, 20% of our program is PT, or physical training. So we do that every Friday. So what we try and do is not only the academic portion of the class that we help to prepare the students, and some of that academics is from Air Force history to space to international relations that we cover. Sergeant Manley covers a finance class, a class for those individuals going on to college, how to put a resume together. So we try and build all those traits of individuals, whether or not they're going to college, they're going into the military, or they're not going into the military, and maybe just a civilian job after high school. And so some of those focus areas that we do are community service. We want them to know how to communicate, and that's both verbally and written communication. We want them to know how to lead a group and get along with the group and be able to take, a certain situation, a certain scenario, and be with a group of cadets or a group of peers and be able to achieve whatever goal that's been placed before them. So we work on that in the classroom. We work on that outside of the classroom, especially in a number of our different extracurricular activities that we have. Something else that's part of the program is that community service, so giving back to the community. So if we can instill that in these students at a young age, we're hoping that that's something that'll carry over into their adult life. And there's a variety of things that we do with the community. Some is real obvious. If you've been to a home football game or a home basketball game at Jeff High, we do the color guard, or we work those events. We'll do color guards at Louisville football games, Louisville basketball games. But then other things that we do to go out into the community is once a year we'll go out and help to feed the needy. So there's a program called Loaves and Fishes that a number of churches within Jeffersonville sponsor, and we'll take a weekend or a Saturday and go out, fix a meal, and serve that to the needy. As we have blood drives here at Jeffersonville High School, it's our cadets that are out there helping out with that. And in addition to Veterans Day, Memorial Day, we're often out participating in those events. Right now, we've got ongoing a clothing drive. It's really hard to get out in the community with COVID going on, but we do have a clothing drive that the students are collecting clothing that we'll take to a local charity. So community service, for sure. But all those different things that we talked about, whether it's the drill team, the color guard, our PT team, that all takes leadership, that all takes teamwork. And so we're outside the classroom, but these students are coming together to learn about leadership, how to lead a team, how to work together, how to achieve, a specific goal. And so it's centered around that. Part of the curriculum also that we have is field trips. Now, unfortunately, we can't do those right now, but the Air Force does give us a certain amount of money to take cadets, to take our students on field trips. They're normally science related, so we'll go to the Space and Rocket Center down in Huntsville, Alabama. We'll go to the Air Force Space Museum at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. We've been over to the Louisville Air National Guard, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base for a base visit, and then also to Fort Knox. So we're able to get them out and expose them to things not necessarily just strictly military, but also in the civilian world. But that community, help out with that community, help out with leadership, help out with teamwork, and preparing them for life after high school graduation.
That's Colonel Bob Benning, who is the leader of the JROTC at Jeffersonville High School here on School Talk, September the 21st, WJHI. When I look, and it's such an interesting job when it comes to this year and COVID and everything that's involved with it. But say you take out this year and you look at how you schedule and how you build people. If I'm a freshman coming into Jeffersonville High School, and I'm trying to instill leadership and discipline, and you want people to be better citizens, where do you start off with the first-year kid and say, okay, here's the habits or the focus that we want to put on a student?
Right. So we'll start off right in the classroom. So right in the classroom, every class starts with the cadets coming in, and we teach them all this. They'll come in at parade rest, and whether it's first period or the last period, when that bell rings, they come to attention. And then they say the pledge, and they've got a class leader. They've got a class leader that will lead the group of students through the pledge, and a freshman class all the way up to the seniors. But the freshmen are going to learn this right away. And then we have what we call element leads. So within every aisle where we've got a group of seats, there's somebody that's in charge of their element. So they're going to report in attendance every day. If someone is talking out of turn maybe, or talking when they shouldn't be, that's the individual that can correct them. The other aspect is that everything is sir or ma'am, and so we don't like yes or but it's yes sir or yes ma'am, depending on the case there. So again, trying to show that respect, that will work early on with the freshmen. Then the next thing is wearing that uniform. and being proud of wearing that uniform. It takes a few weeks till we distribute them, because what we want them to do is to be able to see the upperclassmen in uniform, understand how they wear it. And then what we try and instill in them is that uniform not only represents them, it doesn't represent just the JROTC program or Jeff High, it represents the United States Air Force. And we want them to be proud of wearing that uniform. And then as freshmen, again, we're going to give them some opportunities early on if they join our drill team. If they join our drill team, we go to drill competitions where it's freshmen only that are doing a drill routine or doing a color guard, so they would have opportunities there. Next week, we're going to Floyd Central for a PT competition. It's just for first years. So it forces those first years to work together as a team and for somebody to step up and do that leadership role. And then at the semester is when we swap out our officers. So we'll get the spring of freshman year, we'll get freshmen that'll step into some type of leadership role within the Cadet Corps, and we'll have that responsibility. And then we continue to work with them, but what the hope is that those upperclassmen are mentoring these young freshmen, these young sophomores, and showing them how to be good leaders and working with them.
Colonel, we can go in and talk about your experience and your life that you spent in military and all that entails with that. For your time being involved in ROTC and military and what it's been to your life, has there been a more difficult time than in the last few years in terms of teaching? What I mean by that is you have students now that are oftentimes distracted. They're on their cell phone 24/7. There's so many different outside interests that they're into now, where maybe it was easier, say, 10 to 15 years ago, where it was a simpler world with less technology, less distractions, social media. Is it more difficult now as a teacher for ROTC to instill the discipline and the habits, or do you just have to focus it from a different way?
Yeah, I think it's probably a combination. I think parts of it is more difficult. I was an ROTC instructor at the college level many years ago at the University of Illinois, and I've taught at the graduate level. There's a big adjustment moving down to the high school level in dealing with our youth. And this starting my 7th year in the program, and 6 years ago, was it different? Yes, absolutely. This year has made it even more difficult just trying to deal with students, whether they're in the classroom or online, and that just the challenges of those. Now, the discipline across the board, I mean, sometimes that's generational. It's upbringing. It's the way our society is, and absolutely that has changed over the years with my time, which was about 25 years in the military, and then, as I mentioned, 6 additional years here. That has definitely changed over time, and you make adjustments to that and to that new generation of kids that come in. And so with COVID right now, and since this past spring, definitely more challenging than it was even my first couple years in the program here, trying to deal with that separation and not dealing with a group of students in person, but having to deal with them virtually, or if they're coming in, trying to get them up to speed on what they need to be up to speed, and working that aspect of it and that aspect of the discipline.
When you talk about your experience in the military, 25 years, you talked about also 6 years here at Jeffersonville. What propelled you from when you were in your youth age and all the way up to college and so forth to join in the military? And ultimately, we see a lot of times people, they want to play a sport, or they want to be in the military, or they want to be in the band, but oftentimes the teaching element of it, it's a completely different side. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you can teach it. Where did that aspect of teaching come for you, where you said, this is something I'm passionate about and I want to join into later in life?
Sure. So when I was in high school, I kind of decided, some people say it, and it's actually what it was. It was a calling to join the military and be part of the military. So I knew that's what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go to college. I wanted to get a commission, and enjoyed that. And my first assignment was out space operations. And when I was doing that, got certified. About a year after I got certified, I was moved over to the training branch. So I'm training new individuals to come out and to be basically do what I did, which was the job. So I've got to certify them so that they can go up and fly a satellite. When I got done with that, as I mentioned before, I went to the University of Illinois and spent 3 years there teaching ROTC. So I enjoyed being in the classroom and teaching those college students. A few assignments later, I'm going to graduate school for the Air Force. It's called Air Command and Staff College. And so I completed that, and it was one of those things that we talk about in the military. I wasn't necessarily a volunteer, but I was voluntold. I was voluntold to stick around for a year and continue to teach the course. So a course that I just got done, which was a master's level course, they asked me to stick around and teach again. So again, something that I enjoyed, being able to do that. A few assignments later, I get my opportunity for Squadron Command. Squadron Command was at what's called Squadron Officer School, and that's where it's a leadership school. It's a leadership school for our captains. So our captains are going to be mid-20s to early 30s. And so while I was a Squadron Commander, I wasn't necessarily directly teaching, but had those opportunities to teach and mentor while I was there. Fast forward a number of other assignments, finally time to retire, and we're in Washington, D.C. I've worked at the Pentagon. I'm working at the Defense Intel Agency, and it's time to retire. And so starting to look for maybe a civilian job in the Washington, D.C. area. And nothing sounded too exciting. It's something I've done for a while, and then heard about this JROTC, talked to a couple people, and that's where I just got really excited about coming out, continuing to mentor and work with our youth within this country. So it's something throughout my career that I've been involved with at one point or another. I'm originally from Indiana, from Terre Haute, Indiana, and my wife is from Illinois, and so we knew we wanted to come back to the Midwest. We came around, we interviewed at a number of schools, and really liked Jeffersonville, liked the location, liked the faculty that was here, and decided to come here and pursue this, this next phase of my life, which is working with our youth here at Jeffersonville.
When you look at the honors of the JROTC since you've been here, I know one thing that's certainly got to pop out to you is a student we had in class, Mark Johnson, appointed to the Air Force Academy. Derek Johnson, another student we had in class as well that was quite successful. What are some of the big honors that have come with JROTC since you've been here, and what do you hope to accomplish going forward?
Sure. So these cadets, just about every year they surprise you a little bit more about what they've been able to achieve. A few years ago, the American Red Cross had a Youth Humanitarian Award within Southern Indiana, and during that 2-year time frame that they were giving these out, and it was a yearly award that they would give out to one student, but within 2 years 3 of our cadets got it, because one year they decided there was a cadet at Charlestown that they had put them up for the award in addition to here at Jeffersonville. So within 2 years, we had 3 cadets winning that award, and that's for, again, community service out with their community. There's the Louisville Armed Forces Committee. It's one of the oldest military committees in our nation over in Louisville, and yearly they give out an honorary or an award to all the JROTC cadets in northern Kentucky, southern Indiana. And last year they had to cancel it because it normally happens in the spring, but for the 5 years that I've been here, has always been a Jeff High cadet that has won that award. In 2019, we get inspected every 3 years. In 2019, we had our inspection, and that means Headquarters Air Force JROTC comes out to Jeffersonville High School, and we've got a region director, and he comes out and inspects us. And our cadets got an exceed standards overall for the inspection. There's a number of areas. There's probably 25 or 30 areas that they'll look at, but the specific areas that they looked at for the cadets, every area that he looked at where our cadets, they were the ones being evaluated. They got exceed standards. So couldn't be prouder, of them for achieving that. Last year we had a couple things that happened that were really fantastic for the group, something that hadn't happened before. Within the JROTC program, there's an academic bowl, and there's an academic bowl team, and so it's a 6-member team. And we've competed every year since I've been here. The program's probably been going on for 10 years. We've never made it past the second round. Last year, we qualified for the Nationals. What does that mean? That means we were one of 16 Air Force JROTC teams that qualified out of 400 nationwide. So 16 out of 400 nationwide, all expense trip to Washington, D.C. to compete in the Nationals, and then COVID happened. So unfortunately, the team wasn't able to go this past spring, but we're putting another team together, and we'll compete definitely again for that. And then most recently, this past year, we put in one of our cadets, Ryan Whitlock, who's our cadet corps commander. He's a senior here. So we put him in for kind of the Cadet Leadership Award. He was selected as the nominee for our region. So there's 8 regions within the Air Force JROTC. So he was top 8 out of about 125,000 students. So top 8 in the nation out of 125,000 students. Outstanding. Again, they surprise you every year. A couple years ago, our drill team went to a drill meet and won a drill meet. We'd gotten trophies before, but we never actually had won a drill meet. That was something, when I look back in the books, we hadn't done in 14 years. So those are the kind of achievements. We've got individuals, a number of individuals that are in the military now. Mark Johnson, as you mentioned, he's at the Air Force Academy. It is extremely, extremely difficult, so competitive to get into the Air Force Academy. So very proud of Mark being able to achieve that, and he's into his sophomore year at the Air Force Academy. And so these students, while they're here, achieve great things. And then I could talk on and on of some of the great things our graduates have been able to achieve as they go on in different abilities or at different jobs and so forth, but especially in the military.
Last question I'll ask you here, Colonel, is when you look going forward, things that you want to accomplish with the JROTC, how can the community help you out, and how can you help the community to have that relationship of growing the program and also helping to support Jeffersonville?
Sure. Yeah, the community has been fantastic, and I will say one of the things about this community is if I go home after work and I got to stop by and run an errand at Kroger's or Myers or wherever it is, and I'm in uniform, I can't get out of the store without somebody thanking me for my service. So that's a great aspect of the community. And what we have found is over the years, especially with our color guards or support for different things in the community, word gets out that Jeffersonville Air Force JROTC can go out and help the community. And we get phone calls from people I've never heard of or don't know, or organizations, because they've heard that our kids are doing great things. So we, of course, want to continue to do that. We want our cadets to always be proud of not only our program, but Jeffersonville High School, and represent it in the appropriate way. And so support from the community for our cadets is always fantastic. We're always more than willing to help out wherever we can. And moving forward for our cadets, just want them to continue to achieve great things, to set goals. That's one thing we do at the beginning of every year. We set goals for what we want to accomplish each year. And so we want the cadets to go ahead and continue to set those goals, for those goals to be reasonable, something that they can achieve or maybe surpass. And so each year we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to expand the program where we need to be, and we'll continue to help out the community. And we greatly appreciate the support, not only of the community, but of the school, from teachers all the way up to administrations, up to the school board, to the superintendent's office. We get just a fantastic amount of support across the board.
Well, Colonel Bob Benning, I appreciate you coming in today, sir, and thank you for your service and all that you do for Jeffersonville High School. As you said, there's a ton of people in this community that appreciate what you do, and I'm very excited to see how the program continues to expand. I know, obviously, Mark Johnson, somebody that we dealt with on a daily basis, and he's, I would say, the finest student we've had in here in the last few years. You talk about success that's come his way, and I hope to continue to have success with you and hope to have you back on in the future.
Great. Be happy to come back.
That is Colonel Bob Benning for the JROTC here at Jeffersonville High School, leading the way and helping prepare students for the future with the ROTC at Jeffersonville High School. This has been another edition of School Talk on 98.5 WJHI LP Jeffersonville. You can listen or watch this episode on the Red Devil Network every day at 1 and 7 p.m. The show will replay on 98.5 FM along with streaming on WJHI.com. That's the audio. And then if you want to hear or see the television version, it'll be on Cable 184 and then uploaded later on the Red Devil Network on YouTube. We thank Colonel Bob Benning for coming in. I'm Clay Abel saying so long for School Talk on 98.5 WJHI LP Jeffersonville.